Hey, Sox fans. Welcome to Good Guys Talk Back, a local fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast, hosted by Nick Murawski and Pat Hester.
Yeah, Thunder. Hey, Sox fans. Welcome back to Good Guys Talk Back. It's episode 311. We can find this podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. We do this live every Sunday night at 9:15 on the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. Jump in, join us in the chat. A lot of things happening with our Chicago White Sox, not particularly on the field, but a lot of news. Although I thought it was a pretty fun weekend. Actually, not a bad week for our White Sox and how they played. We'll get to all of that this weekend, especially this past Sunday. A lot of events happening on the series finale against the Kansas City Royals. Really great to have you with us. With me, as always, my best friend, diehard Sox fan, Pat Hester. Hello, sir.
Nick, it's been a fun week. It's been an interesting week. A lot of Sox news this past week that we're going to break down and talk about. And you got to be, it's just, again, like what we're doing on a day in and day out basis, just looking for some positives and fun things to follow. You split with one of the best beaten teams in baseball in the Detroit Tigers after a 13-1 loss. And then you come out and win a series against your bitter rivals, the Kansas City Royals, over the weekend with, what looked to be a big comeback win, possibly just falling short in the ninth today. So that has all been exciting. But, Nick, I'm going to say something really exciting to you in slow and deep voice, and I'm going to say cash infusion. How does that hit you?
Yeah, there's a lot of fun terminology, a lot of fun language. There is light at the end of the tunnel, as Steve mentioned. And by the way, welcome, Peyton, Scott, Sydney, Steve. Good to have you here right at the get-go of this episode. I said something on social media, which is can always go completely sideways, but I don't care. And I said the other day, look, June 5th, when all this stuff went down and there was a lot of exciting things happening for the White Sox, that was a cool day. That gave me some excitement. And it kind of it manifested and moved into the weekend. And it was an exciting Friday night, lively crowd, Saturday, fun game. And Sunday, it really could have happened if the Sox just remembered to hit and figured out how to get some offense for a majority of the game and not wait till the end. And someone said, it kind of chirped back, oh, well, it really is fun being in last place all the time. And I'm like, sir or ma'am, I don't even know who it was. I don't even know if they had their, whatever kind of handle it was. I can't hinge the happiness on place to where you're at in the division. Because it's going to be like this for a while. But it's different right now. There's some fun. I don't like being 20 and a half games out of the Central. Now we're only 13 and a half out of the wild card. So.
Oh, baby, down. Now we're talking.
I don't like that. No one likes that. I don't like being 22 and 44. Okay.
You don't like that much?
But you knew that was going to happen, right? What we didn't realize was there was going to be some plans in place. And recently, just this past week, some concrete plans, on how we feel, and a lot of Sox fans feel there's going to be absolute change. Is it going to be perfect? Does Ish have some flaws? Sure. Could it not work out the way we think it is with, a new owner coming in and spending money and making us competitive and always competing for the top free agents? I don't know, but I just want something different.
Yeah.
And I think everybody does. So, we're going to get to that big news but a fun Sunday, Pat, a beautiful day at the ballpark. Nancy on the keys once again. And so cool that it was the Ray Durham bobblehead. Nancy played for Ray, when he was here on the South Side. And how about Ray Durham doesn't fly, took the train all the way from California to be at 35th and Shields. There were at least 7 first pitches it was unbelievable how many ceremonial first pitches there were today. There was an actual penguin, not Danny DeVito. It was an actual penguin that waddled out to the mound. There were all kinds of, it was kind of nutty. And then finally, last but not least, it was Ray Durham who got to throw out the first pitch in honor of his bobblehead. And so awesome that he was there, and really, really handsome bobblehead. So good on the Sox.
Yeah. I mean, these are the days they, again, remove the loss of today and remove the fact of the several games under 500 and the several games back in the division, the last place, all that stuff. This is what we live for as Sox fans, as we're trying to get through a cold winter and waiting for baseball to come back. These are the days, these Sunday afternoons, and some fun and excitement. And again, I don't want to just root for, oh, we tried hard, or the oh, we almost won, or this or that, but it still is baseball. It still is special to people like you and I, days like today. Again, I was coincidentally enough, Nick, I don't know if I told you this, but I recently got rid of Xfinity, so I still cannot watch the Chicago White Sox.
I was gonna ask you, because this is what we've been talking about.
Xfinity, I think it was 3 weeks ago, where I'm now a Hulu Live person. So I still can't watch the Chicago White Sox. They're evading me like the plague.
Oh boy!
So I'm watching as I have most of the year when I was at my in-laws today. And I've just got the ESPN app, and I'm watching little dots go around the diamond on there on the game cast. So, I missed out on all that fun stuff. But I'm still attentive as attentive as I can be. But again, this is what we live for. Like we still do care, and it is baseball, and we love it, and we're addicted to it. So, be damned with anybody that is going to try and rain anybody's parade about it. So good on anybody that went today and got the bobblehead, and it sounded like a really fun day at the ballpark. I need to get out there for a Sunday for Nancy. That's my goal.
Yeah, it was just beautiful. They were calling for rain like all week, and here is just a really wonderful day. And hey, you fan however you want to fan. I get it. If you want to hold down to that, hey, we're still in last place, I get all of that, and I agree, but I'm trying to find the happy wherever it is. And things have been better this past week. And Sydney brought it up in the chat. I just put the banner up recently. As he said, big shout out to the Chicago Sports Bums and Sox on 35th. They truly did have a wonderful tailgate celebrating Southpaw's 21st birthday. As I was holding down the line and making sure nobody got in front of me, I was just keeping order over there, making sure everything was in order. My wife and my son walked around. There's a little park over there by Sox Stadium. He played on the playground, and then they were able to go over to the tailgate. Sydney, shout out to Sydney for noticing my wife being. Sydney's awesome. You see Sydney at the game. He is a gentleman, and saying hi to my wife and my son, and they come back with these beautiful koozies. Do you see these koozies here? Look at these koozies. They come back while I was waiting in line with these Southpaw 21st birthday koozies that they had. And from what I understand, my cousin, Brandon Anderson, or B-San, as you might know, on social media, he has been doing a wonderful graphic design work for Sox on 35th for a long, long time. And I think he designed this. I think this is his logo that he designed right here.
Very good. So, well done, B-San.
Yeah, he's awesome. He is awesome. They had birthday hats. It looked like a wonderful spread, all the pictures that I saw on social media. So a great day for it. Southpaw actually made it out to the tailgate, which was wonderful.
May I ask you, it is Southpaw's 21st birthday. Is Southpaw just hammered beyond belief right now?
Well, I mean, in true form for your 21st, I mean, we had who was out there celebrating with him? We had Tommy Hawk was there, and Benny the Bull, and Staley. We had the Sky, Chicago Sky mascot.
Now, what is the Chicago Sky mascot, Nick?
Now the Chicago Sky mascot, I think, is a lioness, if I'm right.
Ah, a lioness.
Yeah. It used to be that kind of like that. I don't know what you want to call him. It was kind of like a cartoon, like pilot or something, or a base jumper. I don't know if you remember.
Base jumper. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. I mean, there's not much you can do when you're the Sky. I mean, you can't just. I mean, you could just be an invisible thing, just wandering around. No one can see you. You're just an amoeba.
Right. So they've changed that. They've pivoted, and I think it's a lioness, and the Royals mascot. He was out there. Yeah. The Padres mascot, which was kind of random.
Padres mascot, all the way from San Diego. Came to Chicago to celebrate Southpaw's birthday. That's very kind. That's a big trip.
Yeah. So it was, hey, they do a great job. There's face painting for the kids, balloon animals. They have the, like the Legends race. You had Ozzie Gann, Jack McDowell, Frank Thomas racing on the warning track. A lot of fun. Wonderful times.
Great day. Did you get your bobblehead, and did you have to get the sharp elbows out to box out other folks trying to get their hands on, what is it, first 7,500 folks?
I got it down pat, man.
I know.
I know the system here. But with these Sunday giveaways, these are 7,500, man.
Yeah.
And what I had going in my favor was, I think it was a beautiful Sunday. Everybody just wanted to tailgate and enjoy themselves. And they're like, if I really want this Ray Durham bobblehead, I'll figure it out. On a secondary market. So secured it. It's all good. And the next one now is June 29th. That is the Louis Aparicio, and that one looks really cool. That's a really cool design that they've got.
Are you going to that game?
I'll be there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got quite the collection going this year, don't you, Nick?
They're doing it to me. I mean, this is like, just like a junkie, in an addict. You just like Pusher's like, hey, I got all this new product. I've got all these new strands, stuff from all over the country, and gimme.
You just eating it up with a spoon. They held you hostage, and now you're just like, I love you again, and you're just drunk on all this bobblehead power.
They did a nice job with this. They really did. And I got to say, also, this past weekend, the legendary Old Canal Days here in Lockport, beautiful. A little carved out area here in the southwest suburbs. It's a 4-day festival, bands, carnival, food, all the stuff. Only one sports team was there representing the fan base with some fun activities, some great giveaways, and it was our Chicago White Sox.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Chicago Sky.
No, the Lioness was there. No, the White Sox were there. They had a prize wheel. They were giving out some really cool stuff. I think they had a speed pitch there as well, as I noticed later in the weekend. So there you go.
Wait a minute. You noticed the speed pitch later in the weekend. If you'd have seen it earlier, you would have gone all 4 days, and then you're trying to beat whatever you did the next day, and trying to mess with some grade school kids and show them how it's done.
Was so interested in this wheel, this prize wheel, because they had this really cool 125 banner, like a really nice banner. And the gentleman that was running the prize wheel was like, he was very kind. He was able to nudge that little arrow over a little bit. So the whole fam won some great stuff. And I wasn't even, and then a day later, so I realized there was a speed pitch there. Whoops. So I didn't want to, at that point I was like, you know what? It's for the kids. The kids are doing the speed pitch.
No,
I don't want to.
Are you kidding me? I know you. You would have grabbed the ball. You would have got on the bump. You would have grabbed your licorice and taken a big old bite out of it. And you're firing fastballs, baby.
Yeah. I got to just be careful. I can't let the beast out too often there. Got to
Well, you
contain
did this.
myself.
You did this at the ballpark once, right? To try and win season tickets. Isn't that
I did.
correct?
Well, no, that was a trip to spring training.
Okay.
But I've also done it just casually. I've done it in away games.
Mm,
I hit 80 miles per hour in Seattle, or it might have been
okay.
82. There's video somewhere of it.
How old are you when you're hitting 82? That had to be. You were probably in your what, mid 30s?
Mid
Okay.
30s.
We'll call it mid 30s. Now you're in your
Yeah.
mid 40s. We'll put you right there at mid 40s.
Sure.
What are we throwing these days, Nick? What would you say?
Oh,
What would
man,
you be
my
happy
arm,
with?
man.
And what would you say you are? That's two different.
I'd be happy if I could hit 75. I'd be happy.
Okay.
But there's probably a really good chance if someone said you got to throw right now, I'd probably throw like 68 and be in the emergency room. I'd be at Silver Cross.
No chance.
With like a
You're in
door.
fantastic shape. Are you kidding me? And it doesn't matter. You just got to change speeds, baby, and locate. That's it. 68 can get people out.
That's true. You're 100% right. You just got to mix things up, keep guys off of their, off their toes, keep them on the heels, guessing. It's all good.
Well, good. I'm glad you sound like you had a wonderful weekend.
It was a wonderful weekend. It really was great weather. So I'm loving these Sunday Sox games, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun to get out there in the afternoon, and there's more of that going all summer long. So it's a good Ozzy bobblehead later this year. I think August 10th, where he's making the sign, for Bobby Jenks.
Okay.
For the bullpen. Yeah.
Oh, that's,
creative, very creative.
Do you have some type of, are you creating a hutch in your basement or mantles? How many mantles can your fireplace have?
I am still in really good shape with my current, my current setup that you have seen. You're well aware of the setup. I'm very much able to live comfortably in that.
I'm glad you're able to live comfortably with all the little statues in your house. Wonderful.
How about this? Ishbia news, Pat? Let me just read you this is the press release, man. And you can just fan yourself and we can all just reminisce what happened on June 5th. So White Sox announced long-term ownership investment agreement. The White Sox today announced that Jerry Reinsdorf and Justin Ishbia have reached a long-term investment agreement that establishes a framework for Ishbia to obtain a future controlling interest in the White Sox. As part of the agreement, Ishbia will make capital infusions into the White Sox as a limited partner in 2025 and 2026 that will be used to pay down existing debt and support ongoing team operations. The White Sox announced they have entered into a long-term investment agreement with billionaire Justin Ishbia. The agreement provides that from 2029 to 2033, Reinsdorf will have the option to sell the controlling interest to Ishbia. After the 2034 season, Ishbia will have the option to acquire the controlling interest. In the event of any such future transaction, all limited partners of the White Sox would have the opportunity to sell to Ishbia at that time. So basically it's beginning in 2029. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Ishbia could become what we hope he will become, but after the 2034 season, that's when it would go down, which I think Reinsdorf would be like 98, 99, if that matters.
By 2034, he's 89 now, right? I believe, if my memory serves me correctly from what I looked at, because I usually check in on his age and health frequently to see where we're at in the timeline here. So 2029 is 4 years away. That puts him at 93. And 2034 would put him another 5 years older, right? So that would be 98 years old if I'm doing all that correctly. So I would imagine by at the very latest it's 2034 and we have a change of the guard. I would think that I think what we're hoping for, obviously, is 2029. It feels weird, though. Does it feel weird to you that it's like laid out like this?
Yeah,
I guess it's not surprising because it is the White Sox and Jerry Reinsdorf that you have all
absolutely.
this
Yeah.
really strange, like, here's the plan that we're doing. It's nothing is happening quite yet. We'll let the Ishbia family start infusing.
What
capital.
is that? What's capital infusions? You're in the business world. You're
Am I don't know. It is a business. I don't know if I'm in the business world or not. It means they're going to start being able to use his fundage and his monies, which is something. Now, what they use it on is one thing. They mentioned, buying down some debt and that kind of thing, which doesn't really, for us fans, doesn't sound all that sexy. But does it mean that they won't have the ability to go out and invest in some talent? I don't think it's limited to that. From what I've heard, it means that that's a possibility. Are they going to get top of the line, free agents next year? I don't know. There may be some other things that they need to look at. Like, okay, let's take this capital infusion and let's inject it into our scouting department, our analytics department. Let's start building the infrastructure around the team at 35th and Shield. And maybe then you start looking, okay, outside of that, now let's start investing in the next layer, if you will, which maybe you look at it, the first layer being your system and everything like that. But I think you start at the ballpark and what you could do, not the actual ballpark, but what you do with the team right here in Chicago, building up your staff here and then continuing that with your minor league system. Because I think in the short term, it's about the development, because I will give Chris Getz some credit. I mean, there's been some guys that we've seen recently that we could say, wow, that's kind of a nice thing. And it's very short sample size on guys like Teal and guys.
Well, the guys that came back from the Crochet deal,
a
lot better. We're seeing more pop and more excitement than from that Cease deal. So I've liked that. Mydroff and Teal, of course.
So it's the continued development of what you have, and maybe by 2027, 2028, it's like, okay, now let's invest in some players. So regardless, I guess the sour part of it is, if I'm going to play, let's be even here and not just, drunk on the Kool-Aid, is, Jerry is still going to be the final say in a lot of stuff, which is a little bit alarming, seeing as what he's done over the last 40 plus years. But, maybe he was always strapped by, this is my money, and I'm not comfortable doing it, but I'll make that decision with somebody else's money. So we'll have to wait and see on how that all goes. Right. Yeah. And it's almost like, I think we've talked about this maybe in private, but just, it feels like I'm going to invite this guy over. He's got some really cool toys, and I only want to play with him because he's got some cool toys. Right. Because you're pretending that you're back as a kid, not now. I don't have, you and I haven't hung out together and played with our toys in quite some time. But I'm saying it's like when you're a kid and it's like, this guy's, I don't know, whatever. We may or may not be friends, but wow, he's got some awesome.
Wasn't that the premise of like the first Pee Wee Herman movie, where he was going to that?
Wow, I didn't realize there was more than one Pee Wee Herman movie.
There were two Pee Wee Herman movies.
I remember Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Yes, that's the one where he was going over to, was it Francis?
Oh, Francis. And he had that big bathtub, but it was a pool.
He had all the, and I think Pee Wee had no interest in really hanging out with the dude, but he had all these great things at his house. Anyway, that I get exactly what you're saying. That is a good insight, man. That I didn't quite think of it, but that's true. Jerry doesn't like to spend his own money, but if this guy's gonna throw it in and infuse, like, okay, we could use your money to go after some players or development, or maybe a new ballpark, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But it is exciting. I know it is. It could be several years, but just the fact that there was nothing for a long time. And even a couple of years ago, when things were really starting to, unravel, and you had sell the team chants and banners, and Jerry basically doubling down and saying, no, never. I have no intention. I got nothing else going on in my life. And now to have this I don't know. It's a warm feeling.
Yeah, it is. It again. I think Cindy typed it in before, like the light at the end of the tunnel. You could now see a path of, okay, I can endure a little bit more, almost like, I think maybe a little bit how we felt during the last rebuild, the Rick Hahn rebuild. It was like you kind of felt like there was a plan and a path, and it's like, okay, I can endure for a little bit longer because I can see there's an opportunity to grow and have some things happen, and it did bear some fruit, not all the fruit that we wanted, but it did bear fruit for us. So hopefully this plan that is in place with the Ishbia family, because his brother and his dad are also getting involved. So you're looking at like a net worth of this family. I think the brothers, two of them combined, are worth 14 billion. Justin's like a 4 or 5 billion, and his brother is 10. I don't know what his dad is worth, but you're looking at a very money rich family coming in, and I don't know where they would rank. I think they would be still behind the Coens with the Mets. Again, money isn't everything, but it means something in this day and age in sports. It means people like that have, go after yourself money laying around and can do things like buy sports franchises like this. It's different than when Jerry bought it back in the 80s. It's now it's like, okay, I don't really need this to survive, but if I'm going to do this, it's because I'm a competitive person and I want to win. You look at the young billionaire owners that are out there in sports. It's like they are doing this because they have a competitive spirit and they want to win. So I hope that's the case with the Ishbia family. I think it is the case. So here's hoping.
I think that was almost a direct quote from Middleton, the owner of the Philadelphia Phillies. Kind of like, I've got all the money I ever could dream of. I'm set. Generations are set. I want trophies. I want to fill up the trophy. There's that competitive, that edge comes in, that competitive edge. And so, Jerry's no slouch. He might be worth $2 billion that we know of, if not more, with all of his stuff that he's got going on. But the way he operates is just so archaic.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. No one knows. Just because there's a new sheriff in town doesn't mean it's going to change everything. We're just hopeful because it could be something. It's going to be something new, and that's all we're looking for, really.
Yeah. And you look at like the comparison, with the Coens and the Mets. I think the Mets, they're having an okay season this year. I think I haven't looked at the standing in the National League East in quite some time, but the first go around with like a couple of years ago, they were a really bad team that spent a lot of money. It doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to have success right away, but it means that you're not going to just let it erode to nothing and just walk away from it because if something failed. It's like, okay, that didn't work. We're going to go back and we're going to do the best we can to make it better again next year, and not just say, well, we tried, we got as far as we could. I didn't want to invest any more money, so that didn't work the way we wanted on the cheap. We spent as much as we possibly would want to spend on it. Now let's walk it back for the next 3 or 4 years and let it be the worst thing that anybody's ever seen.
Yeah. Mets have got the second most wins in all of baseball, Pat.
Well, it's, if I had Xfinity, I'd know that.
They've got 42 wins. They're 4.5 games up in the NL East. So
I got to get.
They're doing just
maybe
fine.
I need to be on a Mets podcast then.
I don't think you have time for it, but I love your attitude. So Howard mentioned in the chat here on our live stream, well, the 100-year anniversary is coming up of the All-Star game, which would be 2033. And the Sox should smartly make a play for that. And where will it be, though? Where would that game be? The Chicago Fire this past week made a monster move. Just an unbelievable move. They went all in on the Chicago 78 site. self-funding the stadium, $650 million. Wow. Get out of my way. I don't need your government funding. I don't need any handouts. This is what we want. And they went and they did it. And people are all kinds of excited. Fire fans, of course. Now there's enough room on that site for a second stadium.
Mm-hmm.
The Sox could still be in play, but with that move that the Chicago Fire made, and good on them, man. Gee, that's how it should be done.
Mm-hmm.
You want a new stadium? Put up the money.
Yeah.
Figure it out somehow. I know you might need help in other different ways, how you go about doing, but don't look at the state. Don't look for a handout from the state. Okay. Is that capital infusions? Is that ish? Putting money in and saying, let's get this done. I want this because when I take over, I want that brand new stadium. I don't know.
I would think that's the plan. I don't think the Sox are long past when the lease is up on 35th and Shields. Now that may irritate some folks. And again, I get it. Like I've spent a lot of time at that ballpark. You lived right by that ballpark.
Yeah.
The memories that I have there are long and happy ones. But all good things come to an end and things change in this world. We know that. I really see it again more clearly now with this plan of management ownership change coming and the lease ending. I think it's 2029 is when the lease ends as well. I think that's coming up soon. And again, coincidentally, that's when there's a possibility of an ownership or change is in 2029. I almost think it's inevitable. I mean, you probably need 5 years to get it done in terms of building a stadium is what I've been hearing. So I would think, Nick, we could hear something on some concrete, no pun intended, stadium change within the next couple of months. If this is really what you want to do, and if the plan would be, get something in place by that All-Star game, because you wouldn't want to just get it erected and get it done and still have it be bare bones around this stadium. You want to have it all built up around there. You want to have the hotels, or you want to have the restaurants, and you want to have all the stuff, whatever is all the bells and whistles that come with it, done and beautiful by the time this All-Star game, if that's truly the plan, is to get that 100th anniversary All-Star game in Chicago on the South Side in your new beautiful ballpark.
Oh man, that sounds awesome. Wouldn't that? I mean, how about that? To have the foresight to have that plan as a ownership group, as an administration, as whatever development, whatever it is, the Sox brass, for them to look at that and say, wow. Maybe even MLB has approached them and said, hey, by the way, remember you guys hosted
Save the date. Save the date.
We really would be kind of cool if, you hosted the 100th. Now the Cubs are hosting in 2027.
Mm-hmm.
So would they do the same city in that short amount of time? Does it matter?
I don't know if that ultimately matters, Nick. I don't know. I could be wrong, but there's only a handful of cities that house two teams anyway. You've got an American League, and it's not like you're going back to the same team,
right? So,
it's and again, I think money speaks volumes to it, right? You have it in your fourth largest market. That's better than maybe taking it to Miami or something like that. So I'm just using them as an example, but I think it would bring in more dollars why wouldn't you want to go back to your fourth largest market in a close proximity of time?
And, I know there are new stadiums pop up. So cities, they try to get in line right away. Mm-hmm. We've got a new stadium, so we want to showcase it. We want the All-Star game. Now the Sox last hosted in 2003. So that would be in 2033, 30 years.
Yeah.
which is about if like every team had a chance. Okay, it's back to the White Sox. I know that's obviously not how things have gone. There were some hiccups also with COVID and everything, and in new ballparks as mentioned. But the Sox are due. The Sox will definitely be due by 2033. So interesting. Again, I've seen all the different drawings and the renderings, and that site can fit 2 ballparks. Or is it going to be, by the United Center? Jerry Reinsdorf was gobbling up a ton of property. He was buying parking and vacant stuff, and he spent millions and millions gobbling stuff up. What is his deal?
I know. He's like the monopoly man over there.
I mean, I know he's got a ton of real estate. That's his gig. That's his hustle, is real estate. It's not just, Bulls and White Sox. What's going on? What are you doing with all this? Is it going to be out that way?
They were on ESPN 1000 on Cap and J Hood this past week, and I don't know where this comes from, but they had mentioned, what about Soldier Field, and that would take a major undertaking. And me, I've always kind of had this really a dream about having a ballpark right there on the lake.
Yes,
because of not necessarily wanting it to be at Soldier Field. That would take a lot of work, because what's in the colonnades right now is atrocious, and they would have to do something to make it a ballpark feel. But I've always thought it would be cool to be right there in the lake. Now, the nightmare that exists with going to a Bears game would still exist with a ballpark, regardless of the fact of the aesthetics of it, of being on the lakefront. But I think that would be a cool thing, but knowing that it would be a complete disaster as it is now. Now, you're not drawing 60,000 fans to a White Sox game 81 times a year. They would reconfigure it, I'm sure, to a smaller venue. But would they? Because they still want to hold concerts there. That would be just a really odd thing. They'd have to build something completely different, I would think. But that was something that was talked about on the show this week, which I thought was interesting. With the Bears leaving, that leaves a vacancy at Soldier Field. But I don't think it really solves your problem I don't think the Ishbies have interest in leasing again, like the Bears do from the Park District. I think they want to own their own stuff and collect all that revenue 100% them.
When you get east of Lakeshore Drive and you have to start dealing with Friends of the Park, that's a problem. I mean, that I feel like Friends of the Park shut down that whole Lucas Star Wars museum that was going to be up in Hyde Park. There was going to be a Tiger Woods golf course that got shut down. The Obama Library has that thing almost didn't get off the ground. Friends of the Park, a powerful group, and in theory, that's it could be a beautiful thing with the skyline and the water right there, but unless they reconfigure all of the type of ins and outs of how you get to that ballpark and all the traffic, because it's not just 8 times out of the year during a football season, it's 81, like you had said, over a 6-month period. There's a lot going on in that area of the city now. That's really been built up. I think you're right on. Within a couple years here, I think we'll have a couple months, we might even have a better idea.
I would think if they want to get this done in short order, you'd have to get started on this. Get it. I mean, you got to have a plan. You've got to have they've got the site in mind, right? With the 78. But you'd have to, I would think, again, if you want to get this done you're not getting it done by 2029. You get it done by 2030 or 31. You got to have shovels in the ground soon.
Yeah. And maybe this ish news was just the beginning, but baseball is not dead. I saw a couple reports this past week that MLB TV ratings are up all over the place. Sox back on Xfinity. You dropped it, but There's a lot of people that kept it, but if you kept it, I think you're paying $20 more a month.
Oh, is that right?
To have your teams. I think that's Bulls, Hawks, and Sox. Much like, if you had when Marquee came around, I remember you were tagged for more money, even if you were clear, not a Cubs fan. It just, you had that now on your TV package, and you were charged more per month. And that's what's going to happen here with this Xfinity situation.
Well, it's an interesting time. I almost fell out of my chair when I saw that news this week. Almost in the same day, right? I think all this news broke that day. Was on the 5th,
yeah, it was
right?
June 5th, yeah.
And I thought, what in God's name did I let happen here? I never thought it was going to happen. I thought they were at an impasse and it wasn't happening. And boom, here it is, right in your lap, Pat. You walked away. It's your fault, but it is.
Well, you're not locked into Hulu though, right? Isn't that a
but I think
thing?
I think the ship has sailed for my Xfinity TV experience, Nick. I mean, honestly, I don't really watch a lot of TV anymore. And it is what it is. I do. I miss watching baseball on a day in and day out basis? Absolutely, 100%. I'll figure it out maybe next year.
Yeah, that was something that I just knew I just couldn't live without.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew it. As the weeks got closer and the days got, and I just had to make a decision. I was like, I just don't think I can. I gotta have it in my life, even if it's just background. I mean, and I tell you, I don't think I've missed many games. Like it's been on. Now, have I sat down and been able to watch all 9 innings? Absolutely not. But to know that it's there and I could duck in, it's just a security blanket.
Nick is in the fetal position with his thumb in his mouth, just like, there's the gentle glow of a White Sox baseball. John Schriffen just
Johnny Schriffen. Oh yeah.
Doing panther growls in your ear.
Absolutely. I haven't heard any panther growls. Well, there's been much to growl about. Yeah.
Not much to growl about when you're sitting riding the pine.
Yeah. Oh man, we're going to get to some of his numbers in a moment, but how about, June 5th was also when Kyle Teal got called up, and we mentioned him in this episode about, he's one of the pieces obviously that came back in the Garrett Crochet deal, but he was our number 2 in the White Sox pipeline, which is where, there's been some problems at number 2. Like just because you're number 2,
a medical problem.
I mean, Oscar Colas was number 2, and we all saw what happened. It is ridiculously early for Kyle Teal, but it's just exciting, and it's going to wear off and he's going to have his ups and downs. Right. And how he responds to that is going to really tell us a lot as a fan base, how he weathers through the different roles that he might play. I know he was taking some work at first base before he got called up, and the Sox seem to believe that the catching position is really where they want him. I've liked Caro, so now you're on a Caro and Teal situation. Teal has been catching. He got his first hit the first night he was up. It's exciting. I just want to see the continued energy and results, if possible, from guys that we're getting back from these, blockbuster deals. The Cease thing, boy, that's sad. I don't know if we're ever gonna, I don't know what's gonna happen with Drew Thorpe and others, but the Crochet one's fresh, and Mydroth, I really like him.
Yeah.
He, again, it's early, but the way he plays and what he can do, it's what Nick Madrigal was supposed to be, like right away. You know what I mean? Like, kind of shorter in stature, middle infielder, just getting on base, getting on. Yeah. He's got some pop too. Mydroth hit a home run this past weekend. So that guy, coupling it with now Kyle Teal, and I know I think Braden Montgomery is another one that, we could see at some point that came over in the Garrett Crochet deal. But man, rooting for Teal. Want to get in a sense of what we have, if we can this season.
Yeah.
Is this the group we're going to be moving forward with? Because I don't see Andrew Vaughn coming back anytime soon.
Well, I did see a blurb. I think I was scrolling through social media.
Boy.
Said he's tearing it up, which, you know what? Keep tearing it up, because it would be great to be able to move him, keep him down in the minors, and move him off of his minor league production, right?
I've got him 12 for 46 in Charlotte, 2 home runs, slashing 261, 370, 435.
Maybe recently tearing it up then.
Like maybe today tore it up. Maybe Saturday and Sunday he tore it up.
maybe getting his barbecue on. Listen. We would like him to be better, to be able to move him. So let's root for an Andrew Vaughn as much as we can. Is this the team that we're going to be moving forward with? I'd like to think that these are building blocks, Nick, but like we talked about last week, because we talked about it a little bit, is, I don't know what these guys are going to be really necessarily. Is it fun right now to see guys getting their first major league hit and having some success, and young guys just being excited to be playing baseball, and the odor of just the old group that was here that lost seemingly their passion to play the game of baseball. It's nice to see some passion and have people having a good time playing the game. Does that trickle down from your manager? I'm sure it does. I'm sure there's an effect there. Again, we've talked about the vibe feeling different. It does feel different, even though the results are many times the same. I look at this team this year and last year's team. It feels completely different. Are these going to be the guys you move forward with? Yes. But do you need to couple that with some high-priced, free agents? Yeah. If you want to win, you're going to have to spend some money and do that and support these guys, so they don't have to all of a sudden have to be superstars tomorrow. Because I don't know if any of them are going to be superstars, but I don't know. In the short sample size we've seen, looks like they can play.
I thought I read something or heard a blurb years ago about an organization bringing a superstar in either at the deadline or free agent. Obviously, I'm not completely clear on this story, but the crux of it is the chemistry was so good and this team was so lockstep with each other, and they believed in each other and they had each other's backs. They almost took offense to management bringing in a superstar. Like, you don't think we can do this? We've been together as brothers for X amount of months, battling it, doing well, just, and this superstar is going to take one of our guys' roster spots, and you're mixing up the whole vibe, so it doesn't always work like you want it to work, right?
Yeah.
You really have to do your due diligence to see, hey, this guy, sure, we could get this guy. And I like the numbers, and I think that was the problem with some of the guys we brought in, from 2019 to, 2021 or whenever, when they were trying to obviously make a splash and then some. I don't know if you brought in good culture guys, but I don't even know if you have good culture to begin with. They're just, there always seem to be we've got to redefine our culture. We've got to redefine this. It just feels like things are good right now.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you need some superstars, especially in the rotation. You need some bats. You need some studs. But I like what I see right now.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been pretty fun.
Yeah. I would say this. If you're management, if you're a GM and you're not, maybe this is the wrong way to look at it. I'll just say it for me. I don't know if this is done. I don't know if people would do this or laugh at me if I suggested it. but I would talk to at least one or two team leaders, guys that aren't going to be going anywhere, and say, listen, this is what we're thinking about doing. This is where we need help. How is the group going to react to that if we make this move? Not that you just kind of take in the information. Doesn't mean that they're going to make the decision for you. Doesn't mean that you're not going to make a move if you think it's the best thing for your team going forward. But I think it would be smart of a GM to take the temperature of a team before they made some type of trade that could upset the culture apple cart, if you will. But I get your point. It's like, and a lot of these guys have played together in the minors for a long time. They're probably, I'm sure not everybody's going out and hanging out all the time together, but I'm sure they're pretty tight as far as a group, as far as you can be, as far as a team. So I don't know. I think at some point though, that you can't just, hope okay, this guy's going to develop and be, these two guys are going to be our lead dogs going forward in our lineup for the next several years. I think that's really tough to kind of quantify. I think you need some more known than unknown, but that's just me.
You still need more information, and that's what this season's all about. Like I was glad to see Elko back up. He had a walk-off on Thursday, which was awesome. So great for him. That kind of led the energy into the weekend, and the way those guys responded to him. There aren't any alphas. You've got the elephant in the room, which is Luis Robert Jr.
Yeah.
You've got this guy that was supposed to be this, was supposed to be that, has the potential, has done, pretty impressive things. Okay. He's got a bit of a resume, but it has been so disappointing. He's the guy that just sticks out, and it just looks like he's just not having fun, because he's watching. I'm at the game today, not excited to see Luis Robert Jr. I wanted to see Teal.
Yeah.
Vargas put a charge in one early. He's been fun. Meidroth, like I mentioned. Talkman. This guy's just been fun to watch. At no point was I like, man, I can't wait to see what Luis Robert Jr. is going to do today. And that's sad.
Yeah.
But that's the reality. He had some time off recently, and it didn't do much. He was 2 for 11 in the Royals series. A walk, 5 strikeouts, 0 home runs, did have 4 ribbies. He's hitting a buck something, slugging 281 with a 265 on base percentage. Mercy.
Yeah.
He's lost.
2 years ago, if he came up, or maybe 3, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, he comes up in the 9th inning with the bases loaded with an opportunity to, tie the game. I'm feeling pretty good about myself, right? Because he came up, if memory serves today, with the bases loaded, and I think maybe nobody out at the time, maybe one out, maybe there's one out. And you think you've got your best hitter up in the best situation you can have after trying to fight back and at least tie this game. And I had a sinking feeling. I'm like, I had zero confidence that he would come through and put the ball in play, which is really a shame when you think this should be your best player.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever goodwill, whatever you want to call it, that, we had, or I should speak for myself, I had as a Sox fan about him and what he could be. And he's the guy that they really hyped up. Last year, it really was like the Luis Robert Jr. show. We joked, well, what are they going to do in 2025 promotions? It's just going to be Luis Robert Jr. bobbleheads and La Pantera nights and everything. And I'm so glad that they leaned into the 125 and started to celebrate their entire history, because, man, he's just a joke. Now, the Houston Astros, they DFA'd Jose Abreu when he still had a ton of money owed to him on that contract. They just completely cut bait. Yeah. There was a lot of money still owed. I'm not saying, and again, years are different, but I can't even I can't believe I'm thinking about just DFAing him. That's not the right move at all. I get that. But just to like, buddy, you're not doing us any favors,
Yeah.
and it's clear we're not going to get much back for you. Shane Smith is the guy. Adrian Hauser.
Mm-hmm.
Those, unfortunately, are arms that a ton of teams are going to be calling, saying, what is up with these guys? We want to try to continue to capture this lightning in a bottle this year. We need some arms down the stretch. Yeah. You guys are going nowhere. That's the sad reality, is you might have to say goodbye to Smith or Hauser, but it is what it is. Who's calling on Luis Robert Jr.? I mean, it's unreal.
It might really put us in a situation, Nick, where you're not going to be very active at the trade deadline. I mean, if I'm Chris Getz, I'm looking at my starting rotation and I go, I don't know. I don't know if I want to let controllable arms go. Maybe that's short-sighted. But eventually you need to have a pitching staff that you can kind of go to war with year in and year out. And you keep dealing away starting pitching. You better pray to the heavens that you get it right this time. Right. And then you're bringing more ready-made players, like ready to go now type of players, than guys that are single A players that are prospects that you're going to be waiting on to grow over a couple of years. Am I wrong in that?
You're completely right. I've been saying it for years too. Like, eventually you've got to just commit to homegrown talent. You've got to pay for pitching. You've got to lock guys up. You've got to say, these are my guys, Smith, Schultz, Taylor, those are all arms that we're going to be seeing in the near future. But you do have arms here right now, and you're not going to have all aces.
Yeah.
You've got to have some. Now, is Shane Smith for real, or is he just having, one of these seasons that, I hate to call it an Esteban Loaiza?
Oh, Steven, don't you besmirch the great Esteban Loaiza. Oh my God, that cut fastball.
Sure. That was
shot.
The movement he had that one year, 2003, I believe, because he was the All-Star. And I think he might even started the All-Star game. And it was, of course, on the South Side. And then it was gone. It was just, wow. Absolutely. Guys figured him out. He lost whatever he had. I don't know if the drugs were an issue at that time. But
I don't know if the drugs were an issue at that time. I only sold them. It doesn't mean he wasn't doing the drugs, right?
Who's to say? Allegedly.
All drug dealers do drugs, Nick. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So of the arms that you have right now, you can even check in on Davis Martin. There might be teams just being like, hey, and I don't know if it's going to be a fire sale for the Sox. Maybe they're saying to themselves, damn, we thought we were going to get a ton for Luis Robert Jr. We completely shot down all these potential deals in the offseason. We gambled, and he's healthy. Mm-hmm. That's the sad part. And now we've got to get something from this horrible season.
Yeah.
We've got to get something in return, and maybe you're going to have to do. You got to do what you can do, and that's right now. It's Smith, Hauser, maybe Martin. It's an unfortunate situation, but it's reality.
Let me ask you this though, Nick. I mean, with the Ishbia news, with the cash infusions, with the
capital infusions,
the changing of possibly a mindset. Does this change the way Chris Getz goes about and attacks a trade deadline?
Maybe they're buyers. Maybe they're buyers.
I'm not saying they're going to be buyers, but I'm just saying, it seemed like before everything was built upon, trades and development of young talent and all that stuff, and trading away several players to, get several players back and try and do these multiple team deals to get the most value for you. It may change the way Chris attacks this trade. Not saying that he won't make deals, but maybe it's like, okay, well, maybe I can go shopping in the offseason rather than trade things now to get what I need. We're not going anywhere this year anyway. So maybe I don't have to let go of as many assets as I thought I needed to prior.
Absolutely. I mean, you're not going to get the farm for Smith or Hauser. You know, teams are smart enough. They know that this is kind of just a flash in the pan. We need a rental pretty much. We're not going to pay through the nose for a rental. Robert Jr., I don't think is necessarily a rental. But there are organizations out there that can pay that. They can pay him without even blinking. You know, the Dodgers are one of them, a team that was connected to Robert Jr. at one point.
Yeah.
But at this stage, no. You know, it's just every week I think we reanalyze, we look again. Has it changed? Hoping. Is there anything that we can report on? And I'd have to say no. It's still ugly.
I like how you use the word report, like we're actually reporting the news. That's amazing.
It's a loose term.
It's very, journalism in 2025 is not like it was when you and I were in college.
No, we were held to really strict standards. And now you just put it whatever you want and some AI machine and out pops, 8 paragraphs.
I mean, when you and I were doing Around Joliet, a very hard-hitting news show at the University of St. Francis, we did our homework and we reported the news. Damn it!
Yeah, you had to be there. You had to write up. You had to get it to your producer, to the teleprompter. You had to. There were files that needed to be distributed.
Trying to make it look like I had more than one nice outfit by interchanging a dress shirt with a different tie, same sports jacket. That's a talent, Nick.
You had one suit and you had different shirts and different ties, and it was wonderful. It was so great. I loved seeing that. I loved seeing what color shirt you were going to wear, how to make it look different.
Oh boy, those were the days, Nick.
They were. They absolutely were. Up next for our Chicago White Sox on the road to Houston and then to Texas. I've got the quote of the week all fired up here, but want to thank everybody for jumping in and the chat, joining us on this Sunday night. It was a long weekend, a good weekend. You can find the audio absolutely everywhere you find your podcast, and we do appreciate you passing it along to other Sox fans. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Costs nothing, but it means a ton. This quote of the week is it's from Will Venable. This was out of a Chicago Sun-Times article from Steve Greenberg. Greenberg wrote, where Grifol was tense and too aware of the writing on the wall to enjoy the process, Venable appears not to be the least bit miserable. Oh, yeah, 100% very happy, Venable said about taking the job last fall. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been tough, but it's been tough because baseball is tough. It hasn't been tough because we have a bad record. I'm happy about what we have. We just have to find ways to get better. So there's your quote of the week from Will Venable.
Okay. I love it. Let's, it's an evergreen statement.
It really is. I'm just glad he's not falling apart and crumbling and just staying positive and enjoying the process. So
love it that he's happy.
Yeah. All right, Pat, I feel better. Hopefully you do too, my friend.
Oh, anytime I see a rosy cheeked Nick Murawski, it's a great day.
It is summer, baby, and we're going to enjoy it. So thank you so much, folks, for joining us. Pass the podcast along. Hey, for Pat Hester, I am Nick Murawski. Until next time, go Sox.